What are the pros and cons of living in Palmdale, California? Well, in this video, I'm going to answer that question for you. Hey, welcome to Real Estate Happens, the very first and longest running real estate show on the web. I'm John McQuilkin. Thanks for tuning in. Okay, let's get right on into it. The pros and cons of living in Palmdale, California. The number one pro is affordability. Compared to Los Angeles, Palmdale is very affordable when it comes to real estate. You can buy a very large house, 4, 5, and 6 bedroom homes with 3-car garages and brand new subdivisions for not a lot of money, perhaps in the mid $500,000 range, where in Los Angeles, $500,000, $550,000 will get you a 2-bedroom, 1-bath bungalow. So homes are affordable in the Antelope Valley and brand new neighborhoods. It's hard to find new housing in Los Angeles, where in the Antelope Valley, in Palmdale, you can get a brand new house. So if that is a goal for you, then Palmdale is a place you may want to consider. Now, on the flip side of that, one of the cons is if you work in Los Angeles, it is a long commute. I don't care what other realtors may try to tell you, hoping to get a commission and entice you to move to Palmdale because the commute is nothing. No, the commute is something. It is a commute. But what you have to weigh is the commute worth it for you, okay? Because when there's no traffic on the weekends, you can get to Hollywood in about 45 minutes to an hour. That's nothing. But Monday through Friday on the 14 freeway, just trying to get to Hollywood, it may take you an hour and a half or more to get into Los Angeles. And you may find yourself jumping on the 14 freeway at 3:30 in the morning just to try to get ahead of it all. And by 5 a.m., the 14 freeway is already backed up with traffic. So it is a commute. That's a con. But is that con worth it to you? And they may very well be, but I just want you to consider it and think about that before you go shelling out $550,000 for your big dream home in Palmdale and then dread every morning having to make that long commute into Los Angeles. So at least from me, you're getting it straight that it is a long commute, but it may very well be worth it, or it may not be worth it at this time. Perhaps when you retire, that might be the time you might want to come to Palmdale. I know I have a lot of clients who are sheriff deputies, and when they retire in Los Angeles, they come to Palmdale and buy a house. And that way they don't have to commute back and forth. But perhaps you have a flexible schedule, perhaps you work from 3 to 11, then the commute is nothing because you'll be jumping on the freeway at just the perfect times. So it may be perfect for you. Okay, now let's get on with another pro is Palmdale has great schools. I don't know what you've heard to the contrary, because I hear it all the time. Pardon my French, but people say things like, oh, schools suck in Palmdale. Really? No. I know many students who have gone to school in Los Angeles and then they go to school in Palmdale, and they say that the schools in Palmdale are far superior to the schools in LA, and that the teachers have more time to spend with each student because the classrooms in Palmdale are not as crowded as the classrooms in Los Angeles, and therefore the teachers are not as stressed in Palmdale as the teachers are in Los Angeles. So that is definitely a pro. Another pro of living in Palmdale, if you're into outdoor activity, there are a lot of great parks in Palmdale. And they're clean parks and they're beautiful, and there's plenty of parking and there's plenty of picnic benches. And I know what you're saying. You're saying, well, doesn't Los Angeles have parks? Yes, Los Angeles absolutely has parks, but the parks are crowded. You see people getting to the park at 7 a.m. in the morning just to stake out a table, a picnic table, to reserve for their afternoon barbecue at 2 p.m. The parks are crowded and the parking is limited. So here in Palmdale, there's plenty of parks and plenty of parking, so nothing to stress over. Now, there's a pro and con regarding the weather, okay? So Palmdale has beautiful weather if you enjoy a desert climate. Because if you're moving to Palmdale, you already know it's a desert, so that shouldn't be a surprise to you, right? The weather in the summertime usually stays around 100 degrees, which, believe it or not, is tolerable. But when it hits like 110 or usually like 108 is when it really starts getting bad. But as long as it's 100 degrees or less, it's actually it's tolerable and you'll acclimate to it. So that's a pro. But one of the cons is in the wintertime, it gets very cold. Now, if you're from Michigan or Canada, you're going to be like, oh, this is nothing. But if you're from LA or if you're from Florida, you're going to feel the cold in Palmdale in the winter, because it gets down sometimes to 17 degrees. Sometimes it gets down to the mid 20s. Normally, overnight temperatures in the winter are about 30 degrees, 35 degrees. Average daytime temperatures in the winter are usually around 55 degrees. Sometimes it might get up to 58 degrees. So we have cold winters, but it's all relative according to what you're used to. And another con is the Antelope Valley, both Palmdale and Lancaster, get very windy. And we're talking, we get wind gusts up to 60 miles per hour. And it just comes on all of a sudden, and you might be planning a family event, perhaps a wedding in your backyard, and out of nowhere we suddenly get the Santa Ana winds and it gets very, very windy. So that is definitely a con. But on the flip side, when the winds are not so bad, when it's just a gentle breeze, then it actually becomes a pro, because even if it's 100 degrees outside, as long as there's a nice breeze, you can sit on your veranda and actually enjoy the backyard. And another pro, if you're a fan of the desert, you're going to love the desert nights, because it can be really hot during the day, but the minute that sun starts to set, it just gets beautiful in the desert. And the stars, you can see stars for as far as the eyes can see. So if you're a fan of stars, you're going to love the Antelope Valley and Palmdale, because we have big, wide open, beautiful skies. And sitting out on your porch in the evening is just heaven. So that is definitely a pro. Now, another pro is there's plenty of shopping and restaurants in Palmdale. And I know you're saying, well, aren't there plenty of shopping stores and restaurants in Los Angeles? Yes, but in Palmdale, there's plenty of parking, right? So you just pull right in. There's no underground parking. There's big parking lots right in front of the stores and restaurants. It's just easy in, easy out. Where in Los Angeles, sometimes you're driving around and around and around just looking for parking, or you have to go underground to get parking, like at the Grove, and then you're just stuck. Once you get underground, at like perhaps at the Grove, you're just stuck, and it's like gridlock because there's just cars everywhere, and now you just want to exit. You can't even exit because you're just stuck in an underground parking structure. Well, not so in Palmdale. Big, wide open parking lots, plenty of parking. So that is definitely a pro. Now, a con of living in Palmdale is there's not a lot of nightlife. So if you're a young person, perhaps Palmdale is not the right place for you to be at this time in your life if you still want to go out 3 or 4 nights a week and hitting all the clubs on the Sunset Strip. And believe me, I've been there, so I know what you're talking about. But if you're older now, it might be just the right time to leave all that craziness of Hollywood behind and come to Palmdale for a more peaceful and tranquil life. Now, one of the pros of living in Palmdale is there's a lot of sports pubs and sports bars with big screen TVs where you can go to watch the soccer matches, the football games, the basketball games, and you can have a couple beers and be with friends and just enjoy yourself, where there's not as many sports bars in Los Angeles, and those that are, the parking is nearly impossible. So here again in Palmdale, there's plenty of parking. Go to your favorite bar, have a couple beers, and watch your favorite football game on a big screen TV. So that is definitely a Pro. Well, I think I hit all of the pros and cons of living in Palmdale, California. I'm just like glancing down at some notes that I really didn't have to use, but I put them there just in case I missed anything. But I hit on all the main features. But if I left something out, and if you have a question for me, please be sure to leave it in the comments below. And I promise to answer every comment I get. Now, as you guys know, I have been a real estate agent since 2003. One time way back in the day, they used to refer to me as the realtor to the stars. But now I live in the beautiful Antelope Valley, and I don't miss any of that for a second. I still sell a lot of homes in Los Angeles, but I have the peacefulness of living here in the Antelope Valley, where it's just so nice to live because the people in Palmdale and the people in Lancaster are so friendly, and you get to know your neighbors in the Antelope Valley, where in Hollywood you really don't get to know your neighbors because it's so transient. People are constantly coming and going. So that's why I love being a real estate agent and also living in the Antelope Valley. So if you're considering a move to the Antelope Valley, or if you have a home in the Antelope Valley and you're thinking, well, now it's time to sell that home, please reach out to me via any of my social medias or leave a comment below, or you may call me at 310-467-9555, and I will be happy to assist you in any way I can. Well, that's it for today's show. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm going to have another show for you real soon. I promise you that. So until then, take care, everybody. I'm John McQuilkin, and I'll see you in real estate.